Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you got to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video I'm going to be having a lot of fun. Now for those of you who know my channel know that I'm a die-hard MMA, boxing, kickboxing, even sumo fan, and I love all things combat sports. I do breakdowns of fights, and this is a channel where I kind of appeal to the hardcore. But today I decided to have a bit of fun with this video and have a bit of fun with my channel. One of the biggest things that I'm enjoying right now in the world of entertainment is the series of Cobra Kai. Now, if you're anything like me, you grew up watching Karate Kid and you was a huge fan of Karate Kid and all the teachings that Karate Kid instilled on us as children growing up, then you would love the show as much as I do, because the show is great. I think it adds to the story great, the character development's great. But one of the things that I've been playing around with is who would win in a sanctioned MMA fight between Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. That's Johnny Lawrence of Once Upon a Time Cobra Kai and Daniel LaRusso in of Miyagi-Do. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, but Rohan, we saw Daniel LaRusso knock out Johnny Lawrence in the karate in the tournament final. Well, that's not necessarily the whole story, is it? Because firstly, this is an MMA fight. It's based on the fighters that they are today. And finally, there's a lot of contention. I've seen some breakdowns of the fight where people have said, no, actually Johnny Lawrence won because that was an illegal kick. I'm not even going to get into it, but it's very interesting. There's also a great video on why Daniel LaRusso was actually the bully. But it's just a lot of fun to have with the show, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it too. Anyway, with that said, let's start looking at this fight and let's breaking it down. Right, coming into this fight, one of the things that you've got to consider is where they are in their lives relatives to the fight. So technically speaking, they're both around the same age, right? But Daniel LaRusso is definitely someone who's taken much better care of himself throughout the years, being that he's made money, he's been successful as a businessman. It seems like he eats well. Whereas Johnny LaRusso, well, to put it bluntly, it looks like he has Johnny LaRusso. Johnny Lawrence looks like he has a drinking problem. He drinks a hell of a lot, and you've got to wonder how that's impacted his body coming into a pro fight. Could he actually get himself into shape in his, I guess they're meant to be in their 50s in the show, so in his 50s, could he get himself into shape for a fight? How would that play out? And that's very, very interesting to think about, right? It does make you wonder, when the show's going on, how is it that they both seem so fit and so able to compete and fight with everyone? Anyways, let's talk about this from an MMA perspective. Right, so when you're looking at this, some of the key guidelines that you've got to think about is, firstly, the rule sets that they're used to. Neither of these guys are ever used to MMA fighting. However, they have both competitively fought in a sanctioned environment, and they are both, veterans of the martial arts game, so they will be able to get their head around the rule sets. Now, in Johnny Lawrence's case, he's a two-time All-Valley champion. I believe so is Daniel LaRusso. He definitely beat him once to become All-Valley champion in the first film. So I think their credentials kind of set them up nicely here. So now let's start looking at the fight and let's breaking it down. They're both around the same age, and I guess it's one fight. We're not talking about guys in their prime. They're meant to be in their 50s. These are older guys, right? In terms of height, now I know that William Zabka, he stands at 6 foot tall, and Ralph, forget his surname, but he stands at about 5'8", 5'9". Now that makes him quite a bit shorter than William Zabka in real life, but they haven't actually played that out in the films. Actually, you do see them stood next to each other in times where you see that Johnny Lawrence is noticeably taller than Daniel LaRusso, and I think that is key to note, because that means he's going to have some size and reach. And obviously I don't have stats to say who has the reach advantage, but he is the taller man, right? To describe their styles, Daniel LaRusso has much more of a defense-orientated style. He's what I would describe as a counter-fighter. He likes to see his opportunities, block, dive, create openings and go, whereas Johnny Lawrence is much more of an aggressive, make the things happen type of fighter. I would say Johnny Lawrence has an advantage when it comes to the size, power and the physicality of it. And I would say that Daniel LaRusso has an advantage when it comes to the fight IQ and how he watched the fight play out of it. There's no key wins to talk about here, but let's look at some of their street fights that they've had, and more recently, let's look at the more recent ones, not the ones in their prime in the early videos, but in the series. We've seen Johnny Lawrence get into a fight with the school kids, like Kyler and such, in season 1, and he accidentally went through them. Then we saw Daniel LaRusso get into the street fights with with Robbie's friends, and he absolutely went through them. What's interesting to me though is the fight that he's had, spoiler alert, the fights that they had with John Kreese in the finale of season 3. Now, Johnny Lawrence goes up to fight John Kreese when John Kreese is fresh, and he has a relatively easy time handling John Kreese. Whereas that's not necessarily the case for Daniel LaRusso. Daniel LaRusso gets picked up, smashed through the window, and he actually gets busted up a bit. So that's interesting to think about. They've had a bit of skirmishes between themselves over the time as well, but ultimately it's always been a draw between those guys. That's how it's always played out, and I think that's important to note because they've not wanted to tell us who's the better fighter anymore. But it's interesting to note, right? So that's a bit about their fighting history that we've seen more recently, right? So that tells us a little bit about where they are. We know that Johnny Lawrence is the physically stronger, more imposing guy. We know that Daniel LaRusso is the more healthy, fitter, maybe more tamed counter fighter. So how does a fight play out? Well, we know this fight plays out on the feet because they're both strikers. We've never seen neither of these guys go for a takedown. Obviously, that's not what they've done. This is going to be a fight that's going to be fought on the feet. When you're looking at these guys, what stands out to me is Johnny Lawrence's ability to go and push forward and probably bully Daniel LaRusso a little bit. And I'd use that term, you know, figuratively, not literally in terms of Karate Kid 1. He'll be able to go in and push the pace because he's not the defensive fighter. Being the defensive fighter, I think Daniel LaRusso is going to be the one who gets on the back foot and tries to defend and look for his openings before he makes his shot. As the fight plays out, you're going to start to see Johnny Lawrence slow down because yes, he'll have some success, but I think Daniel LaRusso will be a very good counter fighter. Now, the issue here in this fight comes to me is that I don't deem Daniel LaRusso as having fight finishing abilities. Yes, we've seen him win some fights and knock some guys out, but in a fight with Johnny Lawrence, I don't think he has the ability to hurt him, rattle him and knock him out. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, but we saw the kick in Karate Kid 1 and we saw that he finished the fight. I think Johnny LaRusso would be, Johnny Lawrence would be wise to that now. He wouldn't get caught with the same kicks anymore. And what would happen is he's able to divert his way around that and keep the fight at a range where he goes. I think Daniel LaRusso will struggle with just his purely defensive style. On the streets, yes, it works, but I think in the cage, whilst being a counter fighter can be good, obviously, Israel Adesanya, Anderson Silva, they're all counter strikers. I think he would struggle to establish a great victory, and whilst as the fight goes on, particularly if it's a 3-round fight, because it's ain't for a title, as the fight goes on, I would see that Johnny Lawrence, yes, he would slow down given his age and Daniel LaRusso's ability to negate damage and be an effective counter fighter. I think what we're going to see is that he is able to do enough damage in the first and second rounds to secure a victory. So fighter fans, for my official prediction on this, I would say that Johnny Lawrence wins a decision after a tough 3rd round and maybe even late 2nd round as he starts to gas against a much fitter Daniel LaRusso. How would it go in if the fight was 4th or 5th? Well, I'm not talking about that. That could change. That might change my whole perception of the fight. Actually, it probably would. But in a 3-round fight, in a 3-round MMA fight, I'm going to go with Johnny Lawrence for the victory. Anyways, guys, just had some fun with this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you guys want to have some more fun, if you guys are movie buffs like me, then definitely let's do some more of these. Let me know if you want to see more of these, or if you guys want to see me stick to strict MMA and boxing and kickboxing videos and stuff like that. But let me know if you enjoyed it. I would love to know if you guys are into Cobra Kai as much as I am. If you are into Cobra Kai and I didn't warn you about spoilers, I'm so sorry. Spoilers, I'll probably put it in the title or something. But anyways, if you're new to the channel, remember to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Stick around for some great upcoming content. I've got some great videos planned for you guys. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm Rohan and this is Mindful Combat.